And thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, proudly brought to you by 1Equine. For the equine athlete, very shortly we'll be joined by two of the very best drivers that are competing on Saturday night, because it's night two of ID25. Fantastic night of racing last Saturday night. The action is set to continue this weekend. We've got another 5 heats of the Inter-Dominion, 3 for the Pacers, 2 for the Trotters, and the big Group 1 feature, the $500,000 Protostar for the 2-year-olds over the mile. Second running of this feature last year, it was Fader Waits, and then we saw last Saturday night Fader Waits becoming the first 3-year-old to win the Rising Sun. So we're looking forward to the Protostar this Saturday night. Robbie Morris up from Sydney. He's got 3 drives on Saturday night. They're all in the pacing heats. Nathan Dawson, one of the very best here in Queensland. He's got some key drives, as you would expect, and they're about to join us now to discuss their drives ahead of Saturday night. Robbie Morris jumps in the hot seat to go through his Inter-Dominion heat drives on Saturday night, and he's in the chair now. Robbie, appreciate the time.
No, thanks for having me, mate.
Pete said so. Race 2, so this is heat number 4 on Saturday night. He comes up with gate 5. Just going back to last week firstly, were you happy with what he delivered first up there last week in that opening heat?
Yeah, I was super happy with him. Obviously, he was aided by a terrific draw, and everything went in his favour early. And obviously, when Pinseeker let Leap to Fame go, 3 fence was just as good a spot as any. So I was happy with that. Obviously, it would have been great if he could have got Pinseeker for second, but Pinseeker's a terrific horse in his own right as well. So we lost no admirers.
All right, so he's picked up some really good points there on the opening night. Pete said so. The key is, obviously, with the 2 rounds of heats, he needs another good performance to secure his spot in that $1 million final. So he's halfway there. He just needs to run, what, top 5, top 6 here on Saturday night, and he'll be in the final?
Yeah, look, it's always hard to tell with these things. You've got to have a few numbers go your other way in the other heats and where horses lob and where they draw. So ideally, you know, we'd love to run top 5 or 6 and get him in another Inter-Dominion final. But the draw's tricky. You know, it's a sticky gate because obviously we've sure thing Captain Hart underneath him. Probably going to have to just try and find a spot and see if we can get the cushiest run we can.
All right, you've told me this previously, but if he qualifies for next week's $1 million final, this is going to be his 4th Inter-Dominion Grand Final.
Yeah, 4th in a row. Yeah, he's there's some effort.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, and we don't need to underplay it, but just to be in an Inter-Dominion series, let alone qualifying for 4 straight finals, that takes some doing. It
does, you know, and especially, and I know his owner won't mind me saying this, he does it all the hard way. He's got no superstar qualities, and you know, he's no star, Pete said so, but he's a typical tradesman. He's honest as a day's long. He looks after himself in between runs, and he's all heart, and as you know, our whole team's just so proud of him because he just keeps turning up. Well, it's testament to the horse himself, and it's testament to you and Kerry Ann as well with the job and the management that you've done for this horse. So here he is chasing another spot, and he's halfway there, like I said. But so far during this Queensland campaign, Robbie, he's been enormous. He went fast time winning at Redcliffe. He was terrific in the Redcliffe Cup. Probably a little stiff not to get closer given the interference in that race. And then last week chasing home Leap to Fame. You can't ask for any more. No, you can't. All his runs up here have been terrific this prep. He was obviously, I think he broke the track record in the standard start race that he won here with young Jack Chappell driving him. And his run in the Redcliffe Cup, it was so disappointing. He got checked a little bit at the start and had to go back to the fence, and he got checked up a little bit a couple of other times. So yeah, he was super, and we'll just hope we can get another consistent run on the board this week. All right, so just going back to last Saturday night again, you get some really good points there, chasing home Leap to Fame. They did the barrier draws for night 2 on track last Saturday night. How pleasing was it that you've tackled Leap to Fame, you've got some good points, but you don't have to go up against either Leap to Fame or Don Hugo, so you're a really good chance here on Saturday night with even luck. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it helps having them two both in the same heat. That heat, Leap to Fame, Don Hugo, there's a stack of horses in that, you know, probably, you know, and I don't make it up, but, you know, I don't think it probably should happen until the final, especially them two clashing with each other. But it definitely aids us in regard to trying to run top 5 or 6 in our heats, that's for sure. Okay, sure thing, Captain, as you said, drawn underneath you. He's the favourite at this point. Is he the hardest to beat, given that he's got that good draw? I think so. You know, he seems to be coming of age a little bit as he matures. He's always been a hot horse. He can get a little bit revved up. So the 2600 is probably going to be, you know, a little bit of a chink in his armour. He doesn't want to be overdoing it too much early. So we'll just have to come out of the gate and find a spot and see if we can lob somewhere handy without doing too much.
Okay. Last week you drove Tango Tara in one of those. He was really good in his own right last week. His sectionals were super.
Yeah, Andy was pretty stoked with him. He got a bonus point somewhere along the line there for a fastest last quarter. He was terrific. Kate and Andy have done a super job with him for a long period of time. He's a bit like Pete said, so they just keep turning up them horses, and he raced great. He got a great trip along the fence. I think in any of these races, when you're chasing horses like Leap to Fame or Don Hugo, fence is your friend. So it probably aids in their sort of strengths a little bit, getting up the fence and getting them cheap runs, but he was terrific.
Okay. Race number 4 on Saturday night. This is Heat 5. Canina Prov Lima. He had a shocking draw last week in that opening round heat. Comes up with a better draw, but you've got to deal with Don Hugo and Leap to Fame. Do you give yourself any sort of hope of running top 5 here?
It's going to be tricky early. It's going to be a race in tactics early, and just to see how it all pans out. It's look, he's going to need some luck from out there, but obviously with only 2 heats, he's probably going to have to throw caution to the wind in some regard to just try and get somewhere on the fence handy. So we'll just have to see how the gate goes and play it by ear.
Does that early scratching of Hot and Treacherous help in any way?
Don't think it hurts. Obviously, I'm faster than Don Lou out of the gate, but I don't think I'm as fast as Don Hugo out of the gate. Depends on what Grant does early with Larry, whether I can dive across and be first one in to behind Don Hugo. We'll just have to let's see how the gate goes. Looking at the race, if Grant did come back out of there on Larry, there might have been an opportunity for me to try and open him up a little bit early and get in, but these sort of races, there'll be good horses going left, right and centre, so we'll just have to see how it plays out.
There's going to be some extreme pressure in this heat as well, in particular the back end of the race.
Oh, I've got no doubt in the world when, if Larry gets to outside Don Hugo at some stage, it's the way he was last week, Leap to Fame. I don't think I've ever been in a race where another driver's let their horse down at the 500 and the whole field had just felt like a wave come over us. We all just dropped the bit automatically, and he put 3 lengths off Linus in a heartbeat. He just looks like he's in another planet at the moment.
Yeah, and I tend to agree too. Like, it's hard to sort of think that he's now a 6-year-old, fully matured stallion, but he looks like he's getting better, and that point-to-point speed looks like it's improving. I'm not even sure if that's possible.
Yeah, look, it's the way he's doing it, and obviously he's learned how to race now, and he's probably worked out himself that he's far superior to the rest of us. But like just sort of Max Delight, Pin Seeker, Pete said so. These are horses that have raced consistently good for a long periods of time, and when Grant whistled him up at the 500, every horse in that race was deflated in a matter of steps.
Yeah, he's some sort of animal, there's no question about it. Looking forward to that one. What about the third heat, which is Heat 6 here on Saturday night? Sia Art, inside of the second row. This is probably the weaker of the 3 heats here on Saturday night as far as the paces. How do you sort of assess his chances, Sia Art?
Oh, I think he's a really good each-way chance. I think it's a great draw for him. That's probably where he needs to draw, being realistic. Following Hector, it just depends how far Hector gets to be pushed back along the fence. He's not known for how fast he is out of the gate, but I'd sort of like to think he'd have enough speed to hold behind the leader, and even if I'm 3 fence, I think it's a really good spot to be. His sectionals were great last week. All his runs have been super since arriving up in Brisbane. He's got that second to Leap to Fame, and if they can go hard enough and he can get a good little trip along the fence, I think he's a great each-way chance in a very even heat.
Yeah, and it looks like there's going to be good genuine tempo in this heat as well.
Yeah, there does. If there's a good bit of clip there early and a bit of pressure through the middle, and he can just weave a passage. I thought he was super last week. He come wide last week. He got a good helmet in Tim's a Trooper, and it took him to where he needed to be, but he had to come 3 and 4 deep around the bend, which isn't really his cup of tea. He's more of a sort of through the middle and up the guts of him type of horse, I'd say up, but I thought his run was great.
Speak the Truth, Rakiro, Rebel, Captain's Knock. Are they the big 3 in this heat?
Definitely. Yeah, I thought Captain's Knock's run was terrific. I think probably the draw hurts him a little bit, but he's well in this, and I think Brad's got him getting back to his best now. All
right, so with a little bit of luck here with Sia Art, he's a good chance of qualifying for the final next week.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, it's no secret. I think the fence in these sort of races is gold, so if he can stick to the fence and they go hard enough, it's going to go a long way for him to getting good, valuable points.
It's credit to you and Kerry Ann that you're in this position. So you've got the 3 paces lining up, and 2 of them are realistic chances of qualifying for the $1 million final. That takes some doing.
Yeah, it does. It's a massive team effort, and obviously, you know, it's Josh and Kerry do a terrific job, and the whole team at home. So it's a credit to them that we keep turning these horses out. The Sea Art's owned by Josh's wife Alicia too. So Peter Colsford owns Pete Said, so he's been a ripping owner, and Ben Setri, who owns Canina Problema. So they're all good people, and it's a testament to the whole team behind them that they keep turning up in these big races.
Well, I don't want to go too far down the track with you, but if they both qualify, say Sia Art and also the other guy in that first heat, Pete Said So, do you have a preference on which one you'd drive?
No, I think they're probably both the same sort of horse. Obviously, Peter Colsford's been a terrific owner to the stable. He's been a great supporter of Kerry, myself, and Josh. So whether Josh drove Pete Said So or I drove Sea Art or vice versa, I don't think it'd be too big of a hard decision. We just sort of, I'd say Josh might drive Sea Art because Alicia owns him, and I'd drive Pete Said So. But either or, we'd just be happy to be there.
All right, great stuff. Hey, really appreciate the time. Great having you here as per normal, and we'll see you trackside Saturday night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nathan Dawson has another busy night in front of him on Saturday night. He's in the hot seat with us now. Nathan, as always, appreciate the time.
Good to be on, Chris.
Meg's Boy, this is a really interesting horse for mine in this first race, the JC McMullen. He's got great winning form. He comes up with barrier 1 at a mile. By far and away, this is his biggest test to date. How do you rate him, Meg's Boy?
Yeah, he's getting better all the time. Obviously, last week we were out in grade trying to get a start this race, so I was a little bit worried, but the way he put them away so easy, it's a bit of a surprise to me.
Okay, gate speed, given the fact that you've got barrier 1 here, has he got enough speed to lead this field? It's
a fast front line, especially out wide. But the way he left last week, it's going to take a quick one to get over him. So we'll leave as good as we can, and we're looking to hold the front.
Okay, let me ask this. He's been really good when he's been able to lead in his races, but is that his preferred trip, or do you think he could be even better off a helmet?
Yeah, I've got no doubt. He could be just as good off a helmet. He's a big, strong horse. He likes to roll along if need be, and the turn of foot that he showed there last week, I've got no doubt that off a helmet he'd be just as good.
Okay, time is going to be his best friend, though, isn't it?
100%. He's come a long way this prep from pretty much nothing to running 52 miles. So he's come a long way, and I think he's only going to get better as time goes on.
Okay, just going back to the race and how it's likely to play out. So if you do lead here and Vinsanity's able to hold your back, Vinsanity probably as well as anyone. How does that sort of sit with you?
Yeah, as I said, he's going to get a good trip, and probably his ideal trip. Speed's his best asset. Insanity, but in saying that, I dropped my old Buddha last start, and I've got a pretty big opinion of him as well. So, I'm pretty confident that I should be able to hold them out late.
All right, so an excellent drive there to start the program. Race 1, number 1, Meg's Boy. Right about race 2, heat 4 for the Pacers, Frankie Ferocious. How did you grade the performance last week?
Yeah, he was really good. He probably just got left out 3 wide, too far out. Top of the straight, I was running 3rd, but when he has enough, he really has enough. So we'll be driving for luck, and if luck comes, he's definitely going good enough to earn some good points.
So is this barrier draw? Well, it's not all doom and gloom, given where you position there off the second row. You can just put him to sleep somewhere. So is it really as bad as it looks on paper?
No, not really. I'm pretty happy with the draw, to be honest. I'm off the back there, close to the inside. So there's not a lot of horses I got to get behind. So I'm pretty happy with the draw out there, and be flashing home late.
Can he run the trip? Can he run 26.80?
The way he's been settling, I got no doubt he can. As I said last week, fast half, out 3 wide, left out a fair while. We kind of expected him to stop like that. So tucked away there, just trying to peel in top of the straight. Yeah, I think he will.
That run 2 starts ago behind Speak the Truth. He was awesome that night.
Yeah, he was. He's very good. And I think his run last week, it was just as good. It probably just looked worse considering the half and the trip he had. So I think he is going as good as ever.
Okay, race number 3. This is your race. You're all over this race. This is heat 3 of the Trotters. Last week you partnered Golden Sunset, produced an absolute stunner to score. Not as promised, you drove in the other trot heat. He was terrific. It was a real, turn back the clock type of performance for Not As Promised. So you were faced with a difficult choice here. How hard was that choice?
Yeah, it was. It's disappointing that they come in, the same heat together. They both made terrific last start, and it would have been good to be on both of them again this week. But I think not as promised. The way he was last week, having to do a lot of work, make a couple runs. I think he couldn't have been any better.
So did he fill you with confidence with the way he performed? Like, he looked really comfortable out there, that the gate was almost perfect, really, and he was brave. So did he fill you with confidence moving forward?
Yeah, it did, even like when he's won his good races, he's always had this step to him where last week he didn't have any of that. I would say it's the best he's ever trotted. So, that filled me with a lot of confidence, and we know what he can do when he's right.
It was a blistering last half chasing home Bet and Win last week. That was 2100. Now we step up to 2680, the 2 mile final. That's right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, it is. The further the better for him. So, last week sitting outside Bet and Win, running that type of half, he couldn't have been any better. So, we got a bit more distance this week, and as I said, it's going to suit my fella more than any.
This is a strong heat, though. There's a lot of depth to this heat, so you've got to get it right because you've got to get as many points as possible just to solidify that spot in the final.
Yeah, that's right. We're aiming to get as many points as we can. I think it'll be an interesting first 400 to see how the race is going to be playing out. It could be quite a strong tempo, so that could suit us down to the ground.
Okay, and just on Golden Sunset, the drive last week, an absolute peach from you, from the inside of the second row, in front at the mile marker, and then she showed great tenacity to fight them all off. Did you go into that race filled with a bit of confidence, given that trial that she had earlier in the week on the Tuesday? Because she was really good in that trial.
Yeah, as I said, I come off the track after that trial and said to Shauna, she's back. We can know what she can do when she's right, and a bit of luck on my side last week with a bit of a breaker, and I was able to get off and get to the front. So I was full of confidence going in there, and when things went our way, she's good enough to make the most of it.
Okay, well, that's going to be a terrific race there on Saturday night. Race 3, Heat 3 for the Trotters. We go across to Race 5, Heat 4 for the Trotters. Tarapa is your drive here. What chances of him running top 5 here from that draw?
Oh, if I get to top 5, it'd be like getting a winner. So, he's a bit of a handful of a horse. He qualified the other day again, but as I said, in 26, I don't think it's going to be favourable for him.
Okay, let's go across to the Kevin Thomas. This is race 8, Burkakara. He comes out of last week's Rising Sun. Like many, you would have been disappointed just with the lack of early pressure in that race. It was just a sprint home. So were you happy enough with the effort of Burkakara last week?
Yeah, he was good without being great. I thought he might have finished off a little bit better, even though there was a slow tempo. I think he just got a little bit too strong on me throughout the first half. And then when the foot went down, just lacking a little bit of gas. But if he relaxes this week, everyone knows what he can do.
Yeah. Could you believe last week, though, over $300,000 in prize money, and there was just no early tempo?
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising. I thought there might have been a little bit more genuine tempo, considering the ones to the inside with 3-year-olds taking on the older horses. So, but, it was a quick last half, and I wasn't far away, so he's going to have to be good again this week from where he is.
Okay. In saying that, though, given the race set up and where some of these horses are drawn off the second row, does that help you, the fact that the Janitor's nearby, Al Luciano's not far away, you might be able to get that perfect drag into it?
Yeah, it does. If my fella relaxes and I can get a good helmet into it, I've got no doubt that he's going to finish off strong.
Okay, what about race 9? This is the Fleur de Lille. This is the final lead-up race for next week's Group 1 Golden Girl, Chinchilla. She draws barrier 3, but you've got speed to your inside, you've got speed to your outside. Is it a little perplexing, this barrier draw?
It is, but I'm just happy that we drew underneath. I keep smiling. If she happened to draw underneath us, our chances are probably, near impossible. But we've got the barrier draw on her, and we're trying to use the most of that.
Can you cross Pandaya and Mickey Magic?
Yeah, I think the two I can pretty good. Pandaya left good last week, but we'll be pretty aggressive this week, and we won't be taking it lightly.
Okay, she's going really well. Some of her lead-up runs have been enormous because it's all building for next week, the Group 1 Golden Girl. So is she right where you want her to be?
Yeah, I think she's as good as ever. She's probably just racing them better mares that are getting better trips and better draws than her. So, you know, we come up with a better draw this week. You know, and I think you'll expect, you know, see a really good performance.
The barrier draw next week is just going to be so crucial.
It is, you know. I think, you know, they're a pretty even bunch of mares. You know, I keep Spyland's probably just got the edge on them all, but, you know, a difficult barrier definitely makes it hard when they're running 51 miles.
What did you make of her trial last week? I keep smiling.
Yeah, it was impressive. You know, it's a bit scary what she can do. You know, so hopefully, you know, our mare's right up to her game.
Okay, which drive are you most looking forward to here on the weekend?
Probably Meg's Boy. I really like him, and, you know, this has been his goal all the way through, so hopefully we can get it done and dusted.
All right, race 1, number 1, Meg's Boy. Get the cash nice and early. As always, Nathan, really appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
Thanks, Chris.
As always, a big thanks to our 2 drivers this week, Robbie Morris, Nathan Dawson. We wish them all the very best of luck on Saturday night because they've got some key chances there, and hopefully both will be competing in the $1 million grand final for the Pacers next Saturday night. And also hopefully for the Trotters next week for Nathan as well, the $500,000 trotting grand final coming up. So that wraps up Weekend Winners for this week. Don't forget, if you want the in-depth analysis of Saturday night's program, stay tuned for more. That won't be too far away, that show.